Hey everyone, Mars the Troller here. So today it is my 250 sub special. So right before we start, I just wanted to let you guys know thank you so much for 250 subscribers. We're going to keep on going up there, I know we will. And right before the video starts, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so I can keep uploading every single day. And now let's get started with our top tips to make sure a killer DCs every game guaranteed. So our first tip is every single time you slam the pallet, you go and teabag them, okay? So yeah, I know it's super toxic, but you have to do it. If you want every single killer to rage quit on you, you must teabag after you slam pallet, and extra points if you stun them. And yeah, that's our first tip of many. So the second tip is after you teabag them, especially if you stun them, you gotta blind them, okay? Every time, make sure you blind them with a flashlight, super toxic. So our third tip is use that same flashlight to blind him every single time he picks up the killer, and make sure you time it correctly, unlike what I did in this clip, so you can make sure he gets super angry and eventually he will DC. So our fourth tip to make the killer DC is to body block every single time. No matter if you're injured, no matter if you're gonna die, always body block, because if that person gets off his shoulder, that's another extreme just like anger, like sadness that will happen to the killer. And that goes into our fifth slot, is to always run breakout, because when you run breakout, they get a wiggle out even faster. And our sixth tip, why not run saboteur, because if the killer is going in your direction and there's a hook right next to you, you can sabo it in his face. Extra props for teabagging his mouth right after you do it. My number 7 tip is in the middle of a chase, just go and teabag his face. Like no matter what, just always go and teabag his brain cells, his cranium, his like forehead. Just always teabag no matter what. And our 8th tip is always just like 360 his mouth, you know, why not? It's really fun to 360, you know. It won't always work, especially on consoles. It's really delayed sometimes, but try it 360. It's a great way to get a killer super salty. And the 9th tip is when you're on the hook, because eventually you will be if you're really toxic to this guy, he will just like face camp you and be super angry, is to keep spamming that you're gonna unhook yourself, but you actually don't do it. It's like a little teabag on the hook. The 10th tip is to unhook someone with borrowed time, because the 11th tip is if you do have borrowed time on you, you teabag his mouth with that borrowed time, so you get some extra teabags in just for a little bit. Which brings us to our 12th tip, which is that you have to keep doing this the entire game, so the killer will eventually start giving up on life, will DC, and will just go completely insane in the brain. So the 13th tip is if you see someone about to be hooked, get right next to that hook in case you don't have saboteur yet, and just farm his face. Try to go the other way that you were coming from, so the blood points won't show where you are at. Which comes into the 14th tip, is if you were the one that just got off the hook, you gotta spam that flashlight. No matter what, always spam the flashlight. Super toxic, will make any killer enrage. 15th tip is to bring decisive strike, and as soon as you decide to strike his mouth, you gotta teabag him even more. Just always teabag, always bring decisive. It's special points if you go in a locker and then decisive strike and then teabag again. Which brings us to the 16th tip, is to get your entire crew and bring them all to one hook to body block him. Just continue body blocking him forever, and he's just gonna end up DCing for sure. So by now, if you've been doing this correctly, the killer will be going just a little bit insane in the brain. Not a lot, but for sure some, and will be really close to DCing. So for our 17th tip is to make sure you bring Claudette Morel, because she's super dark. You cannot see her. No, it's not racist. I don't care. I'm not a racist, I'm not a transphobe, I'm not a homophobe. And just make sure you always do that. So our 18th tip is to have one of your teammates distract the killer while the other ones get really close to the hook so they can saboteur just in time for you, for him to eventually, like right now, he just gives up, he DCs, he's absolutely done with life. Yeah. So the 19th tip is after to message him to pretend like you're apologetic even though you're not, which makes him even more angry. Which brings us to our 20th, is to plug your YouTube so he gets even more salty when you tell him that you're gonna upload the video of you demolishing his face in Dead by Daylight. The 21st tip is to wait by a pallet. If you know a killer's gonna get near you, and just slam it in his face and then teabag. You know, when you wait for the pallet stuns, it's just so satisfying. The 22nd tip is to wait for him to kick a gen, and as soon as he does, you just start working on it in his face, and if he hears it, he's gonna get so salty, and it's gonna be amazing. The 23rd tip is not so toxic per se, but it is really gonna make him mad, is to always try to not slam the pallet if you don't have to, because the killer will just continue swinging, and if he's really garbage, it's just gonna go on forever. The 24th tip is to mix up your 360s with just simple dodging, because if you keep him guessing, he'll not know what to do when you try to loop him and just like destroy his mouth. The 25th tip is to dummy check him, because regardless of who slams a pallet, if you slide it over immediately, he has a chance of not grabbing you and he hits nothing instead, which is really funny and really sad for the killer. So the 26th tip is to get a teammate, get a friend, and just both of you guys bring a flashlight. As soon as you stun him with a pallet, get both of those flashlights out just to blind his mouth. So yeah, guys, those are 26 tips to make sure the killer DCs every single time. If you have any more questions, comments, concerns, you can tell them in the comments below, or you can hit me up on any social media, follow me, and just send me a DM, and I'll make sure to respond. So you guys, thank you guys so much for 250 subscribers. That is insane. And yeah, don't take this video so seriously. I mean, these tips do help, but they're not the end-all be-all, you know. It was just for fun, and you're not Valentine Thornton. I'm not a homophobe, transphobe, racist, none of that, okay? So yeah, catch you guys later. Peace out. Thank you again so much.